Okay, we ready? Okay, with it being 7 o'clock, we call this Cecil Township Board of Supervisors regular monthly meeting, Monday, August 3rd, 2020, to order. May we rise for salute the nation's flag.
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Supervisors Savavic, Cassiola, Fleer, Aguizo in attendance, as well as Manager Don Januso, Assistant Manager Jack King, and Solicitor Gretchen Moore, and Engineer Dan Dizeroth, Gateway Engineers. Only one announcement, if you haven't participated in a 2020 census, you still have time to do that. Okay. Resolution 123-2020, consider the second release of financial security posted for the installation of private improvements for Katzevich Property Phase 2 land development from $169,853 to $78,898.75, a total reduction of $90,954.25 as recommended by the Township Engineer.
Yeah, this is for the Cecil Elementary School. This is for the Cecil Elementary School. They've completed additional work over there, and there's still some landscaping work that needs to be done to finish it up, but they pretty much have all of the site work completed with the exception of the top wearing course in the parking lot and the landscaping. So that's what we're recommending the reduction to, and that's what they requested. So.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 4-0. Passes. Resolution 124-2020, accept the voluntary resignation of Sergeant Jeff Holt from rank of Sergeant to Patrolman. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Was there a second? Who seconded?
I second.
I'll take a second.
I second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. 3-1. Passes. Resolution 125-2020, consider awarding the bid for the Anger Road slope stabilization. Dan, you have any input on it?
Yeah, there was a memo sent out to the board related to this. We received a number of different bids. The low bidder, first off, we put the project out for bid as a soldier pile and lagging wall, and we also bid a soil nail wall, a design build alternative to make sure there were two different ways to do it to make sure we get the most cost effective. Most everybody built the soldier beam and lagging wall, and we also did traffic items in there, one for full closure of the road, of Anger Road, and also one with a partial closure. And then finally, we had a bid for some storm sewer work that needs to be done there. There's also some paving, a substantial amount of paving that needs to be done once they put in the wall. So took those bids. You had to submit at least on one type of wall. You had to bid both traffic items and the stormwater work. Only out of the 6 bids, only 5 of them were complete. And the lowest bidder with a complete bid was Pugliano Construction. Their bid for everything, including the soldier beam and lagging wall, traffic control, which would be full lane closure, and then the stormwater work would be in the amount of $332,247.50. So that's the recommendation if there's funds available related to that. It was a good competitive bid. It's a tough little project. It's tight working conditions along the creek there. But the contractor, Pugliano, I spoke to them. They said they bid it aggressively. I have good experience with Pugliano. I've done a number of projects with them. I wouldn't have any problem with them doing the work. They're very capable. So
One lane closure at the most. One lane closure at the most?
closing the whole road down.
I mean, that's,
We got to close it down. That's the only way to do it.
For how long?
I mean, cost-wise, it's going to be, was it $80,000 to close it or to partially leave it open? It was, financially, it wasn't, it was not worth it. I don't
For
have.
how long, Dan?
We just did a similar wall. It took 2 weeks to get the wall up. Once the beams are all in, we wouldn't let them get started until, do some preparatory work, get ready, and then when they come in, pond them in, and get the road opened up as quickly as possible. I'd say with the stormwater work, there's probably at least a 3-week closure. It was a $40,000 difference in partial versus full. So it's the board's call if you'd like to do that. I can get you more specific numbers if you want to get back to that.
On that cliffside, there's no temporary around that thing, huh?
No, not on that one.
Okay, any more questions from the board? Do I have a motion?
Dan, could we do anything with like this jumbo block or anything? Or it wouldn't hold?
Yeah, we would do jumbo block there if we could, Ron, but you can't get down to the material. You have to drill soldier beams to get down there far enough to get the competent material. That's the problem. I think you'd pay as much for a jumbo block wall. Again, these things are pretty quick once they come in and get ready to go, get the beams ordered. We just did one in South Park. Like I said, it took 2 weeks.
What's the length of this, Dan? The length of the wall?
It'd be lower if you reject it. All these, you get it.
No.
It's about 150 feet of wall, 144 feet.
Dan, what's the chance if we reject it, that somebody would rebid it, we might get a better price?
It's up to the board. You could get a better price or you could get a higher price. I mean, it's late in the year, people's calendars are filling up. The risk that you run is you lose the road and then you're scrambling over there. I mean, it's a highly traveled road. That's the concern. And Bill's tried to hold it together with bubble gum and duct tape for as long as he could. So it needs, that's all I can say is it needs to be done. And, you could chance it too and take a bid in the springtime and hope that it's better. I mean, I haven't seen, I don't think the bids are that crazy during COVID. We've been getting, they're not bidding anything out of sight. And again, to have 6 bids, that's a good representation of what's out there. And other guys, like local guys like Bioni must be booked up because he didn't bid it. He's usually our local guy that's real good on the numbers. So these are other guys that can do the work that are, looking to fill their plate up.
Well, you just said that we could possibly hold off until spring. If we rebid it with the condition that they can do it within so many months rather than making them start tomorrow, would that give them more flexibility to give us a better price? I'm sure you put in, they have to start rather quickly, right?
They have to do it this year.
This year.
Yeah. That's the idea. So when I spoke to the low bidder that I'm recommending tonight, he said he was trying to fill his, he was still trying to make his numbers for this year, so he bid it aggressively. That's what he told me. I don't know what that means. His aggressive numbers are not the same as other people's, I'm sure. It's a prevailing wage rate project. There's nothing super complicated about it, other than it's, 140 feet.
How come the soil nails ended up so much cheaper on South Point Boulevard than the
You know what, Tom? There's so much of landslides going on right now, fixes everywhere from the past 3 years. I can't tell you how many of these, every municipality that Gateway represents has had an issue with a landslide in one place or another. And, it's whether these guys, they're too busy. I mean, we had the soil mill guys fix North Strabane. They fixed the Majestic Hills thing up there. But again, that was they probably not available on this one.
They may be available if we extended the time to the spring.
Yeah, but I mean, so what's the contingency plan if we lose the road? Then you're scrambling around to award an emergency contractor and you may pay more. I mean, I'm fine with that, just so the board understands the risk. I mean, that's the way I see it. I mean, if you don't have to act on these tonight, if you'd like me to do any more, I mean, you have 60 days to award. So we just took the bids. We tried to leave enough time to make sure that guys had enough time to bid it, and they did. We didn't try to rush it. That's why we delayed it from last month. But we just took the bids last week, so we have 60 days from last Friday to award them. So if you want to,
Yeah, we don't have to wait till necessarily till September. If we can come to some kind of get some more information from you and come to a determination, we could, I mean, most of us would be willing to come to.
yeah, we can make some calls around and find out who's going to be busy and who would rebid it, who would take it if we bid it again, who would go after it.
I mean, would be willing to come in for a special meeting if that's what it took to award it, if Dan comes up with some alternate, or he says there's nothing better, we better take this.
I'd be willing to come in for that special
Okay.
meeting.
Coming forward.
Dawn, we're discussing.
I make a motion to table it.
Yes, do we have a motion to table this resolution?
Motion to table.
Okay, we'll check in on that. Okay,
Do we have a second to table? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
4-0. Resolution 126, 2020, consider a conditional use application number 2020-0004 for Caps Development LLC at Belisara, location 414 Murganza Road, Light Industrial Zoning District, applicant Caps Development LLC.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to make this motion as two separate motions. The first one is just to approve the conditional use application for the barn itself. I'll make that as a form of a motion.
Do I have a second?
Let me just ask, is that with the existing condition remaining?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? 4-0.
I will make a motion to approve approving that condition from, that they can't have more than one event as long as they maintain the same occupancy.
I'll second that. Part of discussion. Dan, did you have any results?
I haven't looked that up yet,
Okay.
Eric, but I thought that I remembered the number is 400 there for occupancy.
Okay.
That's what I recall, Jack.
Is that relevant?
Occupancy was questioned.
I mean, we want to know what it was, but is that relevant to the decision?
No. Not in my mind.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Passes 3-1.
So that was the motion to remove the condition. Okay, I just thought we were holding something open to allow comment, but did you want to hold that open for public comment, that particular aspect of it? Nope.
Okay, we move on to, that was two separate motions there on the resolution 126, Tom? Or does that cover 127?
No, that was just, Carol would assign a number 126 and then 126A.
Okay. Resolution 127, 2020, consider application 2019-0029 for the Belisara Barn Number 1 site plan, location 414 Murganza Road, Light Industrial Zoning District, applicant Caps Development LLC. The plan received Planning Commission approval on June 18, 2020, contingent upon addressing comments from the Township Engineer.
Yeah, they've addressed all our comments at this point, so
It had to be pretty simple subdivision. I mean, site
it
plan.
was a simple site plan, correct?
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No.
Passes 3-1. Resolution 128, 2020, consider application for payment one for the work completed to date for Contract A, 2020 Pavement Maintenance Program to Youngblood Paving in the amount of $87,382.80 as recommended by the Township Engineer.
Yeah, Joe's made this recommendation. This is just for a partial payment. This is a $387,000 contract. This is just the first payment for work complete to date. And we're making that recommendation.
And
For the record, what was the work completed? The 100,000 portion?
The work completed today was approximately 100,000. I don't have the specific roads, Eric, but they did, this is the milling, base repairs, inlet manhole adjustment, wedge curb. They put down some binder and the wearing course. Actually, I'm sorry, I do have information. It's Wilson Avenue from East Bishop to Bishop Alley. That's what they did.
Okay, thank you.
They also did up Clifford.
Clifford Road, was that on it, contract A?
No, that's on a different one, I believe.
You have a motion, Chairman, I'll have a second. I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0.
Who made the motion there? I'm sorry.
I did.
Tom, second by Eric. Resolution 129, 2020, consider application for payment one for the work completed to date for Contract B, 2020 Pavement Maintenance Program to Youngblood Paving in the amount of $155,674.76 as recommended by the Township Engineer.
Yeah, this is the Contract B, which is the non-liquid fuels scope of work. It's really the same items as I just described before. And the work at this time is for Klinger from PAP to Reserve and PAP from Cecil Hendersonville to Klinger. That's where they've done the work. And it's a,
They didn't
Clifford.
pay it yet, did they?
Clifford's not on there yet.
Okay.
Doesn't look like we paid him for that yet.
Dan, I don't recall them doing anything on Klinger.
Yeah.
Although Cecil did that, our guys.
No, they had, they built 15-inch storm sewer. They put in 6-inch under drain, 1,000 feet. And installed this period. They did some milling, base repairs. Yeah, they're at $163,000 on a $172,000 contract, so they're pretty well complete.
Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0. Resolution 130, 2020, consider application for payment one for the work completed to date for Contract D, 2020 Pavement Maintenance Program to Youngblood Paving in the amount of $48,485.25 as recommended by the Township Engineer.
Yeah, this is the fog sealing contract, and it's for work that's been done on Swihart from 980.
It's a what contract?
This is the fog sealing contract, the single coat seal coat. They actually did single coat seal coat work for this contract, and they didn't do the fog seal yet. But the work they did from Swihart Road for sealing, seal coat.
Did a
the
pretty
next
nice
part-
job.
The next one's on Kelso's they're gonna do.
Yeah. They did a nice job on that.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion, we have a second.
I'll second it.
Second by Ron. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0. Resolution 131, 2020, consider the setting the date for a public hearing regarding conditional use application 2020-0020 for the Viasat Dish Facility, location 7 Ridge Street, R1 Low Density Residential Zoning District. Applicant Viasat, care of Selective Site Consultants. Dan, you have anything on this?
Just on on the Viastat conditional use. So they've been going back and forth related to this particular project. The last thing they needed to do was get a variance on the distance from the satellite dish to the residential properties, because the way this fell, it was falling under the telecom or the tower ordinance. And this facility is really just it's an amplifier for Wi-Fi signals. So the way that it was described to me is this location in Hendersonville is like the perfect place because they have the availability of some special Wi-Fi there, and it's in the perfect location. So they're going all out. They've come in from out of state to get this thing approved. They were even willing to walk around and talk to all the neighbors. They got like almost everybody except maybe one or two people held out to do it. So it's just going to be a relatively small amplifying signal, like a dish that's going to sit on the ground. They'll come in and talk about it a little bit, but it's still a conditional use because it falls under your tower hearing. So it's something different. We didn't really have it covered we cover satellite dishes, but we don't cover, when it originally went to the zoning hearing board, the zoning hearing board's decision was that it should be reviewed under the tower ordinance, and that's what's kicked it into a conditional use. So,
Is it because of the height?
no, just because it's a communications facility. That was the only place that applied that was in the ordinance for a communication facility.
What's the diameter of the dish? Do you have an idea?
It's not real big. I could get one for you here. I could let you know before,
I
but
mean, is it 5 feet or?
8 foot,
Yeah.
Jack said?
8 foot? Yeah, it's not,
6 wide, 8 high.
okay.
All right, and then you said they talked to some neighbors. What prompted that, and how
Well-
did you get that information that a lot of neighbors were fine with it?
Originally, there was a provision within the ordinance that you could waive the requirement if you got everybody else's approval that they live within the certain distance, and they tried to do that before they went this out of going back, because they had to go back to the zoning hearing board a second time to get it to the point where it is now. So they got their decision. It was sort of a use decision on the satellite dish first, but they didn't realize when it kicked it to the tower ordinance, now they had a setback issue. It was a minimum, whatever the tower is, a minimum 500 feet? Whatever the minimum, maybe it's
200.
maybe it's 1,000.
Distance of the tower height.
The height
Yeah.
of the tower, 200 feet.
Even though it's a satellite dish, there's a minimum distance now because you fall within there. So that kicked them into talking to everybody in the neighborhood. They couldn't get everybody. They came back and they said, okay, we're going to try to get a variance on that setback, and they did. So now they've got everything out of the way. They come to you guys for conditional use. You look at it, decide if you want any other conditions on it. That makes sense.
As far as setting a date, could we push this to our September meeting before, or do we need to meet earlier?
Could this be controversial with
I don't think it is at all. Nobody showed up for the site plan. Nobody showed up because they've been in the planning commission already too.
And they had how many that were for the project and 2 against?
Yeah, I think they got like, I don't want to guess, like 13 out of 15 signatures, Jack, something like that.
Looking for 2 more.
Yeah.
The only thing I could add is it's a trajectory thing because it has to hit the southern skyline. And that's one of the reasons that's such an ideal spot for them. That was why they're
one more question? How much of a variance did they ask for, and how much did they get for the setback?
I don't know that, but it's probably pretty close. It's like less than 100 feet to the first house.
No, that's not what I asked. You said they've got a variance. They got a variance.
For the setback, the
Right,
distance
how
from
many
it.
feet of variance did they ask for, and how many feet did they get? I assume they got everything they asked for, but did they ask for 10 feet, 50 feet? You know, Jack? If
I
they
can
had
check
asked for something, a number, I didn't.
I can check email from Liz.
The ZHB letter, right?
Yes.
Do we know the application date for the conditional use, so you know when to schedule the hearing?
Frank, did you say you want to try to do before our meeting, like at 6 o'clock?
September, if we could,
If we have time,
if we fall in the time frame.
if we have time,
I don't know if this is a new application that just came in.
We've had it, I mean, didn't they make application in April?
Right, but I think they,
Gave an extension,
yes.
okay.
This would be the first, I mean, this is the first time we've even had the opportunity to set the hearing tonight.
Because they were for the ZHB before?
Correct.
Okay, as long as they extended this one, do we know what date they extended it till?
I would suggest maybe to the board that maybe we push it to 2 months into October if it was permitted, just that maybe public could be more available, or hopefully things will be,
I'm sure
If
we
somebody
need,
cares about it,
they're gonna show up. But if we still have the meetings closed, I'm just saying that may be wise to, if we were permitted to maybe do it in a couple of months.
well, but we don't have to have necessarily have the public meeting open. We could have the hearing open and still, if doesn't want to open meetings, we're not one and the same.
All right?
Just like we had this hearing closed, we could have opened the meeting to the public if the board wanted to. So I don't think that's a reason to
Okay.
delay it.
So that'd be okay before the next meeting then?
Is that okay?
Next meeting will actually have to be held on a Tuesday. Monday is a holiday.
It's
So
not to
that
find that now for, that's something I can find out at the hearing itself about how many.
Yeah,
Actually, you know what? I'm sorry.
So, Dawn, that would be what, Tuesday, September
Actually, it'd be Tuesday, September 8th, because the first.
8th?
oh, yeah, yeah, you guys.
It would actually be Tuesday, the 8th, yes.
September 8th,
I would
6
just-
o'clock, 6 PM.
Okay.
And I would just make it contingent upon checking to make sure we're within the extension period that they granted us, and if not, we'll go ahead and get an additional extension from them if we had to.
Okay.
Shouldn't be a problem.
All the neighbors gonna be notified of the hearing,
everybody within,
300 feet?
yeah, they were all notified for the last CHB meeting.
Okay, we're all okay with that then? Resolution 132, 2020, consider application 2020-0021 for Dominic A. Delbo, plat adjustment, location 6 and 10 Muse Bishop Road, C2 Convenience Commercial Zoning District. Applicant Dominic Delbo. The plan received Planning Commission approval on July 16, 2020, contingent upon addressing comments from the township engineer.
Yeah, this is the old gun runner site, corner of 980 and,
Yeah.
Is there currently was a daycare center?
yes, yes. And what happens is, the odd part about this plan is that the daycare center and the house across the street were on the same tax parcel ID number. So the piece on the left-hand side is, if you look 980 looking up Muse Bishop Road, they're gonna make a lot on the left, and then the daycare center will have its own lot, and then they're doing a lot line adjustment to give some more area to the rear, to the property owner in the rear, which is owned by, what's that guy's name, Dawn? You know him? It's all Dalbo, but he's gonna eventually sell this lot 3A to somebody else who was representing the plan. I forget who the guy's name is. Mikulski, yes, thank you, Dawn. So he's gonna sell lot 3A to Mikulski, which has another house on it.
Did you say that the buildings on the same parcel was across Muse Bishop Road, where the gun runner, the.
Yeah.
Fixins?
Yes,
They had two commercial buildings on one lot, divided by a road to boot.
yeah, it
Oh, I never heard of that.
was an odd one. So we're gonna clean that up, then lot 1 will be its own separate lot on one side of the road, and then lots 2 and 3 will be on the other side.
What that's gonna look like.
Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0. Resolution 133, 2020, consider application 2020-0024 for the El Taipiano Phase 3 revised lots 313-315, location Breezewood Drive, R1, low-density residential zoning district, applicant William Graziana. The plan received Planning Commission approval on July 16th, 2020.
This is just another in the subdivision in Alto Piano, that the road's already in place. All he's doing is subdividing to make additional lots. He's creating parcel A, and then he's subdividing a couple lots, lots 313, 314, and 315, to make 3 more building lots over there. So nothing special on this one.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0. Resolution 134, 2020, consider hiring a custodian for the township offices at a rate of $12 an hour.
Do we have somebody, Dawn?
Yes, we do. Bill and I conducted interviews. I recommend to the board that they hire Rebecca Russell.
She local?
Yes, she is.
At the $12 an hour rate.
We have a motion, have a second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 4-0. Resolution 135, 2020, consider the request of the National Cemetery of the Alleghenies for a temporary closure of Morgan Road to facilitate the construction of a bridge. The closure is scheduled for September 21st, 2020 through October 16th, 2020. The cemetery is responsible for all maintenance and protection of traffic during the closure. Any comments on this?
No, this is wrong. We can't do that. I mean, that road's been closed how long?
6 months, 7 months.
I mean, they could have been doing this when Walsh was doing their work there.
I move to deny the request.
I second.
All those in favor of denying the request, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0. Resolution 136, 2020, consider approval for Parks and Recreation Board to hold regular routine park events following COVID-19 guidelines.
I make the motion.
Wait.
Any
Make a
discussion?
motion and in a second, then we have discussion.
Second.
Second, okay. We have any discussions on this?
Yes. I was just talking to Gretchen about this. We get to really watch ourselves. And like she said, for the movies, people sign a release.
Right, so,
That's what Gretchen said.
yeah, so one thing I suggested to the board is that if you want to hold these kind of voluntary events, you have people sign liability waivers and releases, basically saying, I'm going to participate and I understand the risks of participation. It adds a layer of protection to the township, and of course, that's in addition to the township, doing all the things it should be doing to make sure you're having a responsible event. It adds a little more protection.
When we voted to open the park, we don't make people come and sign a waiver to do anything else in the park. You're saying because this is a sponsored event.
It's sponsored.
The people are coming for a particular event. It's more conducive to having people sign off on it because they could say, okay, I want to attend this event. I'll sign this liability waiver and release. For the parks, I'm sure you say one play at your own risk or something, or I'm not sure what you do for the parks, but that's less of a formal event. It's a suggestion if you want to try to control or minimize some risk.
In your experience, have park events, the township has important liability or limited liability. You see somebody suing because they get sick?
They never
I
had
could,
COVID
in this
before.
day and age, we're just dealing with this whole new world. And a lot of places that probably haven't done these kind of liability and waiver release forms, a lot of places are doing them now. It's an option for you.
Yeah, but see, to me, they're not customers, like a business might.
Well, they're gonna have the concession stand open.
Yeah, I don't think you could do one to, for example, enter a township building, because there's some public policy considerations, but arguably to attend a voluntary event that's
Right.
being hosted, I
But I'm
think.
saying they're still not customers, they're our residents. I'm just hard pressed to make them sign something like that. Like I said, if I was in a business, I might make people sign something that we're not a business.
Well, who's gonna assume all the responsibility?
Any event we have, I mean, if our Parks Board sponsors it, we're ultimately responsible.
Well, what I don't understand, we voted this morning, and you and Frank said no. I said no, Cindy said no.
I didn't say no.
Cindy said you told her no. Then you changed after you talked to Mariah. And Tommy changed after you talked to Mariah.
No, I said I can see both sides of it. We have to comply with state COVID-19
Right,
guidelines and keep the social distancing, but she was concerned who would enforce that. I said, well, it would have to be the Parks and Rec Board that, that are sponsoring the event. I didn't want police or supervisors have to get involved, and say, hey, we need 6 feet apart, wear a mask. I think, people, if they follow the state guidelines, I don't see how we could be liable. And it's the 25 person maximum. I mean, they realize that. That's not many people attending an event, but they said
That's not true. I heard 250.
no, they would have to stay within state guidelines, and that's what I was told by the Parks and Rec chairperson this morning.
Sure, but remember, the guidelines are different for indoor versus outdoor.
Right.
But yes, absolutely, you should be following the state guidelines and orders, and certainly following best practices and CDC guidance. Doing all the right things to make sure you're being responsible.
Well, I think we should-
Donnie, didn't you say it was 250 outside?
I thought it was as well.
The current ruling is from the governor, yes. 25 for indoor, 250 for outdoor gatherings.
And everybody wears a mask.
Right.
Well,
It was reiterated this evening that masks are not, they're mandatory.
They are not, or they are?
Public, they are
They
mandatory.
are mandatory.
Even with the 6-foot rule outside?
Yes.
the language is odd about outside. It's like outside if you can't social distance. It's odd language, but I would say at the very least you follow those orders. And then whoever's putting on the event should put the protocols in place that are consistent with the orders and with the CDC guidelines, so that there's something in place that, hey, these are the rules for this event. And then, of course, then you need someone to enforce and make sure people are following the rules, so.
Well, I think I'd rather assume our Parks Board would follow the rules and do it right, and us not micromanage them. I think
Agree.
if we see problems, then that's not micromanaging. I think we'd have to step in, but I think they should assume that they would do the right things that they said they're gonna do.
Well, your chairman has already said she won't wear a mask.
It's possible she has exemptions.
Pardon me?
It's possible that she has exemptions that would not permit her to wear it, and we have to respect that.
I just think it's a very bad idea. Nobody else is doing nothing.
Do I have a motion on the floor?
I'll make that motion. No, we have a motion and a second. Now we're ready to vote after, if there's no further discussion.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
No.
Passes 3-1. Resolution 137, 2020, consider the minutes from the Monday, July 6, 2020 Cecil Township Board of Supervisors regular monthly meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0. Resolution 138, 2020, consider the general fund invoices from July 1st through July 31st, 2020. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes 4-0. Board of Supervisors discussion of new business.
I'd like to have it noted that I am 100% against this, the parks.
Okay. Yeah, you voted no, Ron. There's,
Yes, because I don't want nobody come back after me.
okay.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask that the board proceed with getting a oil and gas lease offer to them. We had an email given to us on property that is owned by the Southview our Southview property, Cecil Township owned property. And I'd like to
My understanding was they found out we don't own it.
get the pulse of the board.
Okay, where's the location in
You already
Southview?
said We don't own it.
Well, we have that.
Where is
email.
the location in Southview? then?
Southview Park.
Southview Park, okay. We were there, I don't know, maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, taking a look at all our parks, and there was some discrepancy on what the boundaries were, what actually Cecil owned of that Southview Park. I don't know if we ever did come to a conclusion. I think Jen was investigating that at the time. Jack, do you have any input or update? No.
Microphone. Mike.
I took her voluminous email, broke it down by section, and noted that the Washington County GIS system does show some discrepancies on those boundary lines. At that point, I turned it over. I did everything I could at that point. So at this point, I don't have a resolution on.
Gretchen, would those drilling companies normally look into that?
Yeah.
They're not gonna give us a check or the lease if they haven't researched it, right?
That's right.
I don't even know what the issue is. What are we,
Dawn, was there a second email that came back from that guy that he found out we didn't own it?
The only email I received was, hey, listen, have you talked to the board about this? I said, yes. I sent an email to the board saying that they would like to talk to you about leasing a small parcel of property that the township owns in Southview. I won't be able to get the board's opinion until Monday evening. He said, okay, let me know. So that's the only correspondence I've had with him.
so you were approached by someone who wanted to.
Right, he represented himself as a member from Range Resources.
Wants to lease a portion of what they think is Cecil Township property.
That's correct, yes.
Okay, and we're saying there's some discrepancy as to where the boundary lines are, or?
No, I'm not.
Well, the parcel.
Let them
of course-
investigate. Let's just go get the quote or get an offer see what they offer and,
Send them proof of signing a lease,
yeah.
and let them make their offer, whatever they're gonna do, just see what it is.
Right, I mean, that's
There's
the
no
next step.
action item right now.
No,
Really,
Okay.
there isn't.
other than to engage him to see what their terms are. He hasn't given the board a number. It would be, okay, the board wants to proceed, what are you offering us?
So, Mr. Chairman, do we have a majority that would like to proceed with this?
I think we've gotta let them investigate.
Frank?
I don't think there's any action item other than,
Just having me.
I'm
right.
sorry, you're continuing to talk.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I do have two items. One is about the public works site, the potential site that we've looked at.
I know.
I think Dan has looked at us for functionality and things like that. Dan, before I make any kind of a motion, would you talk about that site that you basically found for us?
Yeah, there's a site that's located along Klinger Road, just as the Klinger Road passes over the Montour Trail on the right-hand side. That property topographically provides the opportunity to take about 10 acres there and create it into like a 5-acre building pad site for public works, considering stormwater and everything else that's associated with it. When the appraiser looked at it for the township, it was thought that that the property, if we left the frontage for the current property owner, that would get the cost down related to taking more of the rear of the property as opposed to the property that's right along the road. So it still lays out the same way. You need about 10 acres. You would have an access drive that would come back off of Klinger Road for Public Works to get back. It kind of lays out well that whatever they do along the road, there'd be like a barrier there, and then you'd have another plateau down for the Public Works building site at the rear, whatever they would do along Klinger Road. So I guess the appraisal came in, and at this point in time, if the board wants to proceed further on it, I would recommend additional due diligence be completed to make sure that the utilities are available, just mainly that water can be secured for the site, and sewage, the direction and the cost related to that. and sort of put a little bit more of a pro forma behind it. You know what the land cost is now, how much dirt needs to be moved. I think we know that already. What the utility costs are going to be, and then you'd have a sort of a cost of site preparation. You probably have an idea what a building's going to cost, or we could put a rough number in for that. Then you would have a full idea what your cost is on a facility. So that'd be my recommendation, and then I don't know what else needs to be done to consider, advancing along the property if you wanted to acquire it. Is that enough?
Before we spend any more money on this, are we going to contact them and see if they're even interested in selling the property?
We have.
Did you hear the question?
Before spending any more money, why don't we contact them at least and see if they're willing to sell?
We have, and they have not responded to my letters.
Certified letter. So they're probably not willing to sell. Betsy, could you just break down on if it has to be a eminent domain, the procedure that we would follow?
Right, so I'm not hearing any action item yet. It sounds to me from Dan that you need to do more due diligence to figure out if this is even something you're interested in. But if you are interested in it, there's a procedure for eminent domain that would start with you passing an ordinance or resolution and actually taking the first step. And that ordinance or resolution would lay out what the taking would be, and it has all, it's a formal process that starts the eminent domain proceeding. And if it's an unopposed and not a litigious process, you go through all the steps and you tick all the boxes, and you pay the just compensation and it's done. Of course, if it becomes litigious, there's a court proceeding. You go before the Board of Viewers and deal with all of that. But it starts with a formal, either an ordinance or resolution, where you formally say, we as a board are hereby deciding to institute eminent domain on this particular parcel, and everything's laid out.
In my years here, we've never been a part of a eminent domain process, but on the school board, I was, and our understanding was when the board finally decided to take something and sent the letter to start the process, it was taken.
Oh, yeah.
The fight over the months could be about money.
The fight's over just compensation, that's right.
Okay.
That's right.
To say that's a school law is probably the same as municipal law about that.
Yes. Yeah, you might have a fight over what the just compensation is. You might not.
Yeah, probably.
But the first step is to say, this is, we're deciding to take this action, here's the taking, and you take the property. And
I
it's a
think we should do formally, make a motion to authorize.
Oh, wait. I think we should buy the whole thing. Whatever, it's 64 acres, Dan? 65 acres?
Yeah, it's,
I can see down the road a standalone police station. I can see one fire department. And you're not going to find anything more centrally located. And if you don't buy it now, you're going to pay wazoo for it.
Let me just look at something. Okay, I guess that part doesn't really matter. My motion would only be to authorize Dan to look at this, see if we can get utilities to the site, the water and gas, water and sewer. That's the first thing I'd like to him authorize to find. If he can't, we can't get that, then we're not interested in the property. So I wouldn't.
Isn't it, Dan, was it you or somebody said the sewage is only like 400 feet away?
yeah, the sewage is closed, but the issue is that's a tunnel that goes over Klinger Road, or under Klinger Road. So anything that would happen, we already at least had a general conversation with the water company. And the water company needs an agreement with the Montour Trail. Anything that goes on, even though it's our right-of-way, if there's a utility that goes in there, they're required to have an agreement with the Montour Trail related to that.
And this site is 10 acres, Dan?
10 acres you would be acquiring. It's like an 89-acre tract is what's there.
On one side, don't they on both sides of the road?
Yeah, they own both sides, but I thought the total was like 89?
89 is this particular parcel.
Yeah, this parcel's 89.
On that side of the road, on the high side of the road, it's 89 on the high side.
Yes, on the high side of the road that the board is
Parcel.
looking at is 89 acres plus or
Took
minus.
all of them off? If we took it off? Well, all right, but still, we still need to know whether we can get.
I mean, I'm looking 5-10 years down the road.
Yeah.
Huh?
I don't fault, I don't fault that logic.
I mean, somebody could at least give us credit, we was thinking ahead. You put another park up there. I mean, we're pretty well strapped for parks and anything.
I'm not disagreeing. What I'm saying is that if we can't get utilities, like Dan said, if we can't work out something with the trail, then I really shouldn't even look at it. I think the first step should be authorize Dan to do what he said, look at the feasibility of water and sewer there.
Dan, is there water on PAP?
I don't know. We looked at water coming up Klinger over the tunnel.
There is water at PAP.
There is?
Yes, there's a hydrant at that corner, matter of fact.
That's pretty far away, though.
Yes, it is.
Closer if we could come from Klinger's, that end of Klinger.
Correct.
McConnell Road end.
I mean, part of the reason why the property appraised as low as it did was it doesn't have water and sewer service right now.
Right.
So you'd have to bring that in. So I think the next step is to determine what that cost is and be sure that it can happen.
Dan thought the sewer might go down towards,
Yeah, the sewer, you could take it towards McConnell Trails too. That's another option. There's a cul-de-sac that comes way down the end there and it runs parallel to the trail coming down, Ron.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
it's gravity flow.
Yeah, I mean, this is a pretty large, big decision that you guys are contemplating. I mean, I think you're right, Tom. If you want to do some more due diligence, do some more due diligence. This is something that's not on the agenda. I would say, you're not in a position clearly to make any decisions. So if, you want to keep doing the due diligence, go ahead and keep doing the due diligence and then have a
That's what my
more
motion was, just
fulsome
authorize
discussion
Dan
about
to
it when you're in that
follow up
place.
on and find out the feasibility and best scenario utility access.
Do I have a second?
Second that.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes.
I go along with all of it too. I know we need, because no one can own the land. I think we should-
One other issue. We had last month the resignation of Amy Fordish. I wanted to first of all thank her for serving many years in Parks and Rec. And maybe just state now under new business that there is an opening for one person, so probably a cover letter or something submitted to Don Januso, Township Manager, so that we could put someone in place for next month. But once again, thank you, Amy.
Yeah, she did a fine job. Tom, did you have a second item?
Second.
Did you have a second item of
No,
new
no,
business? No?
no.
Did they not do that yet? No. Okay. So if you haven't yet accepted her resignation, you should formally do that. When did you say?
Do I have a motion to accept Amy Fordish's?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes 4-0. Any further discussion, new business? This meeting is adjourned at 7:55.
Appraisal held up, it'd be roughly 1.3 million for all 89.